This is Alora from Firebird Summit. I wanted to talk about something that actually happened over the past week that's led to part of a broader conversation that I have with clients all the time. Those who read my mailing list or my blog probably saw that I referenced the fact that my former business unit was shut down last week at my old company. And it has resulted in my entire former team being laid off. It's more than 50 people in the Austin area who were really super important to me, and I'm very sad to see what's happened to that group of people. But what's really interesting has been in watching them rally together to support each other in a way forward, connections, resume reviews, all the things that they all need right now. Several people have brought up the question around how many times they really want to do this again, right? Almost nobody who was laid off for the first time. One of my former colleagues said to me, I've lived through this too many times. I can't stand doing it again. And so the question of freelancing or owning your own business. And, there are lots of challenges about that, but it kind of reminds me of a conversation I was having on LinkedIn last week about teaching in schools about the gig economy and what is different about it. And if you're going to approach work with a modern perspective that does not assume you can or should rely on a single source of income for your entire life, what does that mean you need to learn that we aren't taught in school now? And that certainly those of us who went to school more than 20 years ago were certainly never taught. A lot of it's kind of business 101 sort of stuff. So some of the things that come up a lot when I have these conversations with people who are looking to switch to a self-employed model are around financial management. One of the first things that becomes an issue is, can I afford to do this? Can I pay my bills every month? And the truth is, I think there's a lack of financial discipline that we're taught. There's this sort of like model that home ec or that kind of stuff in school doesn't matter, when in reality, we've now raised multiple generations of Americans who can't really manage a budget for their household and who don't know how to cook. And we've kind of hurt ourselves a lot by discounting that stuff. And the thing that's interesting to me now is that those kinds of skills become even more important if we are looking at a gig economy kind of way of working. And so when I think of it, I think of, how do I build a portfolio of business that flexes and stretches according to my schedule, my interests, my skills, my time, all of these other factors. And it really requires a very different skill set than we get taught in school and that we are expected to have when we go into a full-time job. So financial management is always, always, always the very first thing that comes up as a question. The next one is, in the US, health insurance. And I wish more than anything that this didn't have to be a factor, but it still is, that in the US, your health insurance is more often than not based on your job. Now, there is certainly the ACA, which can help. Sometimes you have to be careful about asking really good questions to make sure you're not shortchanging the coverage you're going to get. But it is definitely complicated, and it is something that most people who have historically had full-time employment have never had to source for themselves, and so it requires some research. The last big thing that comes up a lot is around legal entities. And I talk to clients about this a great deal, right? There are different types of legal entities that have different advantages for different types of businesses. And one of the most important things I have thankfully done was to make sure to talk to somebody who could talk me through the different business models I was actually considering and help me understand why one type of entity would be advantageous over another depending on the business. And I can promise you that without that conversation and that kind of expertise, you're going to find tax day a lot more painful than it needs to be. So those are kind of the three big things that come up a lot. There are a lot of others that become a factor. The last one that I ask people all the time, and to be fair, most people don't have an answer to it, is what do you want your life to look like? Because at the end of the day, being a freelancer has some definite advantages, and self-employment can be the absolute right decision for the right person, but it can also be the absolute wrong decision for anybody who is not prepared. I'm on my third business, and I grew up in a series of family owned businesses. So I wasn't new to entrepreneurship, but the first time I didn't want to do it. I was kind of forced in by circumstances. The second time it was a little bit accidental, and it was kind of okay, but I didn't love it and I didn't have much of a vision for it. It's only been in this current incarnation of my life as a self employed person that I've been focused and had an actual objective for what I was trying to do that fit into a bigger picture. And I think it's very hard to maintain the momentum and the effort and the energy you need to maintain your own business without that. So understanding what you want your life to look like and how your work is supposed to fit into that is enormously, enormously important for you to get organized around what you need. So my question for this week is this: what skills or what needs do you have that would make a difference to you in the question about whether or not self-employment made sense? It's a hard question to answer, and a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. So if you want to float that one, I would love to hear what you have to think. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great week. And for my dear former team who is now on a mad dash for a new job, you have all my love and support, and I will do whatever I can to help. So thanks, and have a great week.